welcome to our fourth episode of Elevate and Educate Beyond the Harbour. Today's special guest is Sir Yasser Ahmad. Thank you so much for being here, Yasser.
Yeah, I'm very glad to be here.
Yeah, we were really excited to get you on board. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I teach psychology and sociology here at BCP, and how did I get into education, I guess, is probably what we're leaning towards.
Yeah, and, exactly.
I think a lot of it can be traced back to particularly my university years, where it's a fairly well-known story in my circles, in the sense that initially I had actually gone to study economics and then wanted to go into law school, but I remember I took a philosophy course as an elective, and by the time I had finished my first class in philosophy, I literally went to the registrars and changed my major to philosophy.
Yeah,
and
nice.
It was one of those really authentic, transformative moments. And later on, when you study education, there's this word transformative is so central. And having experienced that, it's a very unique and a very distinct moment, and so that was sort of like the root, not getting to cause causality, but that root moment which pretty much laid out the rest of what was to follow, and then that influence, working with my professors, and they were seeing how they operate, and the way, the dynamics, the relationships, that sort of sense of both, by virtue of the discipline and working with them very closely, that sort of sense of academic humility, and these, getting exposed to some of the greatest minds and the most fertile minds in human history, and then having the good fortune to study under some of the the most active minds. It was so inspirational. So then I knew that this is the area that I wanted to be in. So whether it was becoming a professor or something along those lines. So I think that pretty much laid out the pathway to doing what I do. Yeah.
Great. Yeah. I think so. I can relate to that. So my major was political science, and I did a double minor in sociology and philosophy, because I love these subjects. So I went in to university thinking, okay, everyone is doing business, so I have to do business, right? But so I went to liberal arts college in Canada, University of Alberta. They have a liberal arts faculty. So like liberal arts, you have to take that eclectic mix of like all the subjects. And I realized I hated business. I hated it. I thought it was very boring. She didn't do well in economics. I failed it. But I realized that I loved political science. I loved sociology. I loved philosophy, anthropology. They weren't offering anthropology as a major or minor, unfortunately. Like it was just like courses. But I chose to make this my degree, political science, sociology.
And I think this is a really, really important discussion now. Having this recognition that agency is really critical in education, in the sense there's the standardization of some of the curriculum, the standardization of testing. I think it deviates from the balance where different learning styles are often sort of it's a little harsh, but they tend to get neglected, and so we regiment performance and achievement based on a fairly rigid view, not taking into account that different learners are very critically motivated by different things. So even in my schooling experience, the systemic disciplines, like where numbers were involved, were not my forte at all.
I definitely relate.
But whether it was world history or sociology or literature, it was instantaneous. And I think, again, philosophy was sort of like a really interesting mix between that development of logic and rationality and the application of rationality, but at the same time that sense of creativity that it gave me was, and that creativity then gets translated into whether I want to do music or writing or something along those lines. I think this is very important to culturally inculcate in both parents and teachers and within the fabric of the education system, that different learners do have different cognitive abilities and intrinsically are driven by different things. And I think we need to now, based on this recognition, start catering to that more. So in a very authentic way, no learner is truly left behind.
I think I know we talk about this a lot, or at least I talk about this a lot, that in Pakistan we have that belief that you have to do engineering, medicine, or business, and that's it. No other subject is worthy of studying or even thinking about. These are the three fields. So I remember I was having a discussion with colleagues, and so this colleague worked in the IT department, did their undergrad in business, and I remember we were having a discussion, it was me and like a few other people in the room, about how, like, what's the point of sociology? Like, it's such a useless subject. You should only study like medicine or business. Sciences are where it's at. Like, this person was coming from that framework, like sciences are where it's at, and that's the only thing you should be studying. But I really don't see it that way. Like, I see it as, studying like sociology, anthropology. It's like you said, like culturally, creatively, like it's just so important to bring these subjects in.
It's it's a little ironic when sometimes well, practically on a daily basis, oftentimes you hear social discussions, right? Why are we doing what we're doing in society? Political discussions, again, education, issues in our social institutions and so on and so forth, right? And you have these discussions, and everyone sort of is trying to dissect it in a very sort of coffee shop way. Well, there is a science available which actually is dedicated to understanding these issues. Sociology.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And this sort of misunderstanding that somehow natural sciences are the only sciences. Well, that's not a comprehensive or holistic view at all, right? What about the social sciences, right? So that I think with the way we're going in terms of technology, with AI and so on and so forth, right? I think these subjects, by the way, or disciplines or areas of learning, be it sociology or world history or literature, I think they are going to become very central going forward, because we need to stay grounded in the human experience. Whether you want to look at it subjectively or from a broader objective view or a macro level, the human experience has to be retained, and these disciplines will find a further degree of importance as they go forward, because we are at this really interesting, I don't think we're entirely at the crossroads yet, but I think within the spectrum of the human to advanced level technology, the balance will inevitably in academia be created by these sort of disciplines, like sociology, like psychology, like world history. And I keep repeating these because they capture the empathic human experience. Right? And we can't detach from that. So inevitably we as would like to go back to retaining that understanding of ourselves. And I think that's where sociology and psychology become very central.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it helps to sort through the confusion. I remember when I was when I took Soc 101 in university, there was one chapter that it still sticks out to me. Like, it stuck out to me then, it still sticks out to me. It was talking about how, like, it brought in gender studies. So it was talking about how, like, if we look at like historically or sociologically, the role of women in society, and how, they were the homemakers, caregivers, they stayed at home. But now what's happening is that, women are going out in the workforce, like they are working, 40, 50 hours a week, same as the man, right? Then what happens is when the woman comes home, like, she's still expected to do the housework and take care of the children. So that leads to a lot of frustration and dissatisfaction and irritation, because you're like, why is my partner not helping me as well? Like, why am I working 16 hours a day? I'm so exhausted. So, it impacts you mentally, emotionally, physically, and then that also will impact the relationship. So that's maybe why you see higher rates of divorce, like less satisfaction in marriage.
True. And I think, that's these are some of the social realities that that exist, and it's I think it's fairly progressive, where at the end of the day, these sort of disciplines allow learners to be sort of academic detectives, right? Where they've got these clues, i.e. reality, and reality should always be a subject of analysis, right? And so whether it's these sort of issues and this balance between understanding the complexities of family life, or the influence on media now, that's obviously so critical, right? And this is all within the domain of the social sciences, right? That sort of acute understanding of their true influence on us and our place in these institutions, right? Family, media, right, so on and so forth. It's imperative now to really understand and sort of develop that negotiation between, this is what it means to be human, and this is how much technology can be implemented, how much the influence of the media is on me. Of course, it's a big question, right? We have, as educators, we're dealing with this question, right? What is the true impact of social media on our learners today, right? And there's this general sense of concern now that, is it impacting them negatively? Is it impacting them positively? And here, I think one of the big distinctions you need to make is, which disciplines like sociology allow you to understand is how that balance between cultural literacy and digital literacy, right? How much are we losing out on cultural literacy under the guise of digital literacy, right? You can't have digital literacy replace cultural literacy. It has to be a balance, and that's where, again, these social sciences become so critical in saying, look, now you might want to ease up a little bit, right? Or here we're really sort of allowing the digital literate world to totally dominate the cultural literate.
So it brings in that balance, it brings in that understanding as well. Like I said, it helps to like sift through the confusion as well. Great. Again, I think we could go on for hours about this, but unfortunately we don't have hours. How long have you been at BCP Harbourfront? I'm curious to know.
It's my second year now.
Second year, okay. And how have you found it? Like, and you were at the defense campus as well, right? So what was that like? Like, how have you found the journey? What was that like coming from defense campus to this new like building facility?
I think the transition's been fairly organic, and I think that's probably down to I think it's definitely down to the administrative team making sure that that transition is largely standardized in in an organic way, where there's that because I guess it was just a transition in terms of the material building. The culture is largely the same. So in that way, it was fairly fairly easy to just adjust to the new class.
Yeah. And how have you found like the students, the campus life
great.
here?
Absolutely great. I've been very, very, very fortunate to have an absolutely phenomenal sociology class.
Thank you guys so much for watching. If you really liked this episode, then please remember to like and subscribe. We have many more episodes lined up for you guys.